He was known at Collingwood as Rowdy. Typically, the nickname meant he was quiet and shy. Gavin Brown was much more comfortable when he could let his actions do the talking. Welcome, Gavin.
Thanks, Mike.
Geez, you were painfully shy, weren't you?
I guess I was, particularly when you get into an AFL or a VFL then environment, and I barracked for Collingwood as a kid, so I was a bit overawed to walk in there and see blokes like Dacos and Shaw and Ricky Barham was there, and I remember training with them and not knowing, do I call them by their first name, by their nickname, or just
or Mister?
Yeah, or whatever. So yeah, I was very quiet.
But you'd been at Collingwood. You'd played in an under-19 premiership team with McGuan and Longhurst and Krasiska and those sort of guys.
Yeah.
You sort of you were part of the system.
Yeah, look, I was. 85. I remember even before that, I was in the Doug Gott squad, under-16 squad, and then I went 85 in the under-19s and probably played half the year, I think, and I struggled a fair bit, probably because I wasn't overly confident again. And then the next year, I played in a premiership in '86 against North Melbourne. So I went through the system, but look, I wasn't the most confident person going around.
Geez, you were brave. I mean, the things about you that we all remember, you're so good over your head, and you were brave to the point of sort of almost being reckless. I heard a story, Gavin, that you were young, sitting alongside Lee Matthews, the coach. One of the Collingwood players didn't go as hard at the footy as he should have. Lee had some advice for you, didn't he?
Yeah, no, that's right. I was up at Donald, up the bush, we were playing against Richmond. And I was on the bench. And again, I wasn't travelling great, but I was on the bench, obviously. And Lee, because there's no coach's box, was on the bench, and someone right in front of us on the wing, on the boundary line there, pulled out of a contest. And I vividly remember he got up, grabbed me by the arm, stood me up on the boundary line and said, "Did you see that?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Don't let me ever see you do that." And it really had a profound impact, I think. Yeah. I did. I went out there and I really tried to go hard. I
suspect, though, in the way you did play your footy, most of us would sort of say you were born that way anyway, that your instinct was to just watch the footy and attack it.
I'm not sure, Mike. I'm not sure about that. I don't necessarily think that that I was that brave as a junior player.
Really?
No, that wasn't my forte.
Now, you're a Marsland boy.
Yeah.
Where did you play the junior footy?
Yeah, Templestowe. Yeah, Templestowe Football Club in the Diamond Valley as it was then.
Which was a pretty tough breeding ground.
Yeah. I only played up to under-16s. And then I went to Collingwood, obviously, as I said. And, I was actually in Fitzroy's territory, but because I was 16 and I wasn't on their list or their books at the time, you could go anywhere. And Ian Flack at the time come down to watch one of our games and grabbed my mum and dad and said, "Oh, we want to have a chat to Gavin." And I remember talking to him, outside the club rooms, and it was one of the most exciting times of my life because I was a Collingwood supporter.
Did you think that you would have ended up at Fitzroy?
At the time, no. Look, I reckon I was a pretty immature at that age, naive kid. I sort of just... I wasn't sure what to expect about anything. I didn't necessarily think... I think it's different this way because the pathway is so clear for juniors to go up, and it wasn't so much then, so I wasn't really sure about that. I was just playing footy because I enjoyed it.
Lots of good years at Collingwood. You won 3 best and fairest, and you were just a very good player for a long period of time. Was 1989 your best year? Now, let me remind you of your stats. Played 22 games, 516 disposals at 24, won the best and fairest and won the Whitten medal.
I think it was one of my best years. I think 94 and 97, 97 was almost my best year. I think one of my greatest memories was I got to captain Victoria in 1997. So, and I thought I had a pretty good year then too. So
best and fairest again, 97?
Yeah. So that was possibly my best year, I think.
You won 2 Whitten medals. Was that the second one?
Yeah, that was the second one.
Yeah. You loved playing in the big V, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I remember as a kid, I don't know why, it just mesmerised me. I remember telling Mum, at primary school to come and pick me up at 3:30 on the dot because the game started at 3:40 from memory,
from
over
Perth,
in Perth. Yeah, and I got there right because I wanted to see everything to start, running out. I was just besotted by it, even at a very young age. So when I got the opportunity, it was just to play with the greats of the game. Was just I just loved it.
1990, it's got to be the most memorable, I suspect, of the years. The flag, the premiership drought ends, you play full forward, And from memory, mate, there was a minor altercation on grand final day, wasn't there?
Just a minor one.
Now, did you start that?
Oh, no, I didn't start it. I couldn't.
Did you whack Kieran Spawn?
Yeah, yes, I did.
Why?
Well, myself and TD were at full forward, and the brawl started up on the half forward flank, right on the siren. So I couldn't tell you how it started.
Quarter time siren.
Yeah, quarter time siren. I wouldn't know how it started. So I went down to get involved, and I remember listening to the radios a little bit later on, and someone said, "Oh, he deserved it because he went down and got involved." And I thought, geez, if I had gone back to lead the huddle, I would have been the only one there. So obviously I went down there, as everyone did, and so I saw Kieran Spawn hit Dennis Banks.
Yep.
Now, I don't know why I thought I needed to help Dennis Banks out, because I think he can look after himself, but I hit Kieran Spawn, yeah.
And then Terry Danaher, TD, whacked you.
Yeah.
So did he knock you out?
I must. Yes, I mean, I've had a few concussions before, but when I look at the vision and I'm laying on the ground, I would have been knocked out, I guess.
You missed all of the second quarter.
Yep.
Sat on the bench.
Yep.
Now, it's not that long ago, Brownie, but there was no way you would have come back onto the ground today in those same circumstances.
No, I probably wouldn't have. And gee whiz, it would have been disappointing, because I would have been shattered if I hadn't been able to come back on. Yeah, and I understand that. But yeah, I was lucky enough to be able to get back out.
So you came back, I think, about 10 minutes into the third quarter.
Yep.
Kicked the goal. Do you remember this stuff, or are you going on what people have told you?
No. People often ask me that. What do you remember? And I remember the two important bits, and that's the start of the game. So all the lead up, driving in, running out in the ground, and I remember the end. And the bit in the middle, obviously, I don't remember as much, obviously, with the help of a bit of vision. I've never actually sat down and watched the whole entire game, but I've seen bits of vision in that, yeah.
Terry Danaher is probably the most loved player in my time in football, I reckon. You've got to love the bloke.
Yep.
Was there bad blood between you and TD after that game?
No, not at all. Look, you know, people ask me that all the time too, and I've got an enormous amount of respect for TD. I played state footy with him. I worked with him at Collingwood for a year as an assistant coach with him. We used to go for runs together during, you know, when you knock off from work. Even as late as a couple of years ago, you know, he'd call up, and if he's in the area when I was at Carlton, he'd have a coffee, you know. So he's an enormous competitor. I've got nothing but the highest admiration for him. And you know, grand final's a grand final, and you know.
So whatever it takes.
No, I got no problem.
No.
And
I mean, you didn't have it at the time.
No, I never did. Never did. I mean, I was lucky enough to win a premiership, and you know, it's a pretty serious, deadly game. You know.
It is that. What about at half time? Did you probably don't remember, but Lee, as in Matthews, clearly used you to inspire the Collingwood blokes and to incite the Essendon blokes, didn't he?
Yeah, no, I do remember that. I remember Lee grabbing me. I was in the dressing gown, I reckon, and he grabbed me by the arm and waited at the race for TD. And I remember him saying words to the effect like, "He'll be back," or something like that. And I do remember, and luckily I didn't, but I was very close to, because I was pretty, you know, I don't know, angry or whatever. I was actually close to doing something probably a bit silly myself.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
I did, and I luckily I look back and I sort of restrained myself a bit. Went in, but I did look. I'd had a few bad concussions before that, so I knew what it was about, and I do remember sitting on the bench, and everything becomes a bit of a daze, and it's like you're watching from the grandstand or a movie. But I do remember at half time, off my own bat, I went and grabbed Mark McKeon, our fitness guru, and I grabbed him and I said, and I grabbed the foot in, and I wanted to do, you know, get him to kick the ball into me, do a couple of tackles with him, just to. I knew that I had to fast track my awareness, I guess, or so. And then I did that, and I reckon it worked. And I remember going into the lead at half time and saying, you know, I'm ready to go. So I do remember those things, yeah.
But the changing medical landscape, it's amazing, because we're talking 1990, that's 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Did you have a concussion test then?
No, I can't remember, to be honest. Now, there's gaps there, but no, I can't remember seeing the doctor. I'm sure, obviously, he would have looked at me. But
and you would have said, like all the players say, I'm okay.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Do you remember what happened? Siren goes, there's this outpouring of emotion from the Collingwood people. I was on the ground that day. It was unbelievable to see the tears rolling down people's faces. I remember Ronnie Richards and Bobby Rose and those sort of people. Do you remember what you did at siren time? And
I remember being at full forward, And I looked at the clock and I knew it was close, you know, because I sensed it. And I just remember saying to myself, hey, you're just about to win a premiership. Get with it, you know, try and make sure that you're going to enjoy it. And, you know, because I didn't have my full wits about me still, which is fair enough to say. But I do remember talking myself in saying, you know, you got to enjoy this. And then I just remember turning to TD, we shook hands, and then I just...
You shook hands, so there's no problem with that?
No.
Reflex action out with the hand?
Yeah.
What about the celebrations? What happened that night?
Yeah, they were obviously massive. I think we went back to the Southern Cross for a time.
Were you allowed to go?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Went back to the Southern Cross. So we got there, and then we went, I think we went to the tunnel by horse and cart.
Did you?
Yeah, there's about 13, 14 players on it. I know, I remember Eddie Maguire booked himself a seat on it. You know, he was in there. So it was incredible scenes. And then going back to we went back to the club first, you know, and that was incredible. I mean, because I didn't know what to expect. And there was 15,000, 20,000 people there. It was just amazing, you know, it was like, wow.
So it'd been 32 years?
Yeah.
Between flags?
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah,
so it was pretty important.
That year of 1990, I reckon one of the masterstrokes of the year, and probably pivotal in the premiership win, was Lee's decision to take you from a wing, play you at full forward. What led to that?
I guess it was to be a bit of a target and to provide a bit of pressure and, you know, those sorts of things.
Because you ended up with 49 goals, but from memory, I'm thinking like Dakes kicked 90-odd, and I reckon a lot of them came because he was such a brilliant player at ground level, but you made the contest, you created the spillages?
Yeah, possibly, yeah. I mean, I guess that's, again, part of the reason why I was down there, but to compete and, as I said, provide a target. And Dakes, just through his sheer brilliance, I mean, you know, I don't think he needed too many opportunities anyway, but he was incredible. You
know how many goals you kicked in that final series? You played 4 games. There was the draw with West Coast and then 3 more.
Yeah, I do. And you know why I do? Because I remember Mickey McGuan saying to me once, Brandy, you know, you've kicked, and when you played finals, you've kicked a lot of goals playing finals. I never even really thought about it.
14?
14, yeah.
14 and 4.
Yeah.
Not bad for a winger. Did you were strong on the wing, you were durable, but you were thin. When you went forward, and obviously with the more buffeting that you get up there, did you consciously work on your body to increase your strength?
Mate, when I first got to Collingwood, I was really, as I said, immature mentally and very, very skinny. And so Keith Burns said to me, Brandon, you've got to get in the gym and you've got to build up, mate. So I did. I just, you know, I just like a dog with a bone. I got in there and I just knew that I had to.
Just push weights?
Yeah, just, you know, and built myself up. And I did my whole career. I knew that, you know, the way I wanted to play, I knew that I probably had to. And it's something that I enjoy doing anyway, you know, so I did.
Now, I asked you before about that nickname, Rowdy. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, again, you know, early days down at the club training, and I remember Crackers Keenan was the ruck coach down there, and we had to split up into a couple of groups, and Crackers said, Brandy, you go down in that group over there, down in the pocket, and Darren and Pants said, it's not Brownie, it's Rowdy.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
And it's just one of those moments that just stuck, and it's funny because even when, you know, at the footy club now, you know, some of the young boys call me Rowdy. It's quite amusing. So,
not to make too fine a point, put too fine a point on this, but did you engage with the other blokes when in say your first year at senior level? Did you have a conversation with them, or did you just wait until you were spoken to?
Probably early days. I was, I would have waited, you know, I guess. But later on, you know, I was. As I got more mature and worked things out, you know, I mean, I obviously became captain, and so therefore you had to talk and be vocal. But I had no problem in out on the ground. I mean, my first couple of games, I remember, you know, not calling for the ball.
Yeah,
I did. I remember because I just, you know, I didn't want it. I was uncomfortable, you know, real early days. But no, it's not that I didn't engage them. I wasn't the most social person going around. I wasn't. You know, back then it was straight out after the game to the nightclubs and all that. Well, I wasn't big. I didn't do that all the time. You know, I did every now and again. But no, I probably did go home, and I think I was also pretty conscientious, and you know, I was always tried to be really professional in everything I ate, and didn't really drink.
After the break, your relationship with the young Nathan Buckley. 1994, Gavin, you win the best and fairest. You're first-year captain in 94?
Yep.
There's a first-year player called Nathan Buckley. Shared the best and fairest with you. Did that result surprise you?
Oh, no, I don't think it surprised me. No, I don't...
It seemed to raise eyebrows among a lot of the hardcore Collingwood people.
Yeah, look, no, I was aware of that only because people would say that. But for me personally, and again, I reckon I was, even then, I was probably just, not naive, but just, didn't think too much about things, just about playing footy and that. But yeah, I mean, you're right, people did bring it up and mention it. But I never really thought too much about it, to be honest.
He was a brash young man, Bucks, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yep.
Yeah. Did it take you blokes a while to embrace him?
Look, I think it did, to be honest, and I think Nathan says that. I mean, Bucks, he's 100 mile an hour. He always is. He's probably calmed a little bit now. I mean, he's a very switched-on bloke. But when he first got in, I think he would admit that he probably went a bit hard a bit early. I think when you come into any organisation, sporting organisation, you've probably got to try and, as good as you are, if you are, you've got to earn your stripes a little bit, I think. And you just got to, and I think he probably just gung-ho and wanted to get the best out of himself, and he was 100 mile an hour. So he probably stood on toes and put a few people...
And he was vocal, wasn't he?
Oh, very, yeah.
To the point of critical of his own teammates?
At times, I guess. As I said, he's 100 mile an hour. He's a competitor, and he just went in and he didn't wait. He just wanted to get into it.
Tony Shaw, your premiership teammate, takes the captaincy from you and gives it to Bucks. Were you resentful of that?
No, I wasn't resentful. And again, I've been asked that a lot of times. What's my relationship like with Bucks, and you're dirty on him. No, not at all. I was disappointed that I lost the captaincy. I think I knew though that my time was about done.
So it was disappointment rather than sort of anger.
It was disappointment. I remember there was the club called a press conference at the time, and this was before. You got to remember, this is before there were press conferences.
Yeah.
I
do remember those days.
You sneeze now and there's a press conference, but back then, and they said, right, they want to hold a press conference, and now I'm disappointed that I lose it. That's okay. I knew that I'm a realist. And that's fair enough. That's what happens. But then they wanted to hold a press conference all of a sudden, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, I'm not captain anymore. That's okay, but I'm not going to make a song and dance about it. So I actually had footy clinics at Punt Road to do, and I said, no, well, I've got footy clinics, so I went and did the footy clinics,
did you really?
which might have been seen as a bit why I was dirty. But as I said, I was disappointed, and then back in the day, you didn't have press conferences really, many.
No. So what did they want you to do? Did they want you to put on the brave face and sort of say...
Yeah, a bit of a handover, I suppose. Yeah. But I've never had a problem with Bucks in that regard, and he knows that. And as I said, I was disappointed that I wasn't captain anymore, but I'm a realist, and I knew my time was probably coming, and that's what happens. We
mentioned Dakes briefly before. You saw him up close. You saw him every week for 7 years. Have you seen anyone with more skill?
No, I say that all the time. There's a lot of amazing... Wayne Carey's probably the best footballer I reckon I've ever seen. You talk about... there's many a champion around and many super gifted... A lot of the Indigenous boys now are incredible. But I've never seen anyone with the touch that Peter Dakos had. I've never seen it. His ability... To use both feet, hands to control the ball was just second to none.
Balance, kicking.
Everything. Yeah, he could mark the footy. He was tough. He was everything.
He gets irritated when people sort of think he was born with all this talent and he just waltzed out there and did it. Is it fair, those who say that he could have been even better had he worked harder, is that fair or not?
I'm not. Possibly. Possibly, yeah, he could have maybe. I don't know what he says about that, Peter, but I think I don't know whether I disagree with him a little bit. I think he's been gifted an enormous amount of ability and talent. Now he's got to go and make that work. There's been plenty of talented blokes around that don't make it. So his mental strength, his ability to a lot of pressure on Peter, gets tagged every week, and his high expectations. So he got to make it work. But he had the ability, and he had the ability to make it work as well through his,
Another teammate of yours, Darren Mullane. We know what a tragic end it was for him to life.
Yeah.
He was a profound influence around the footy club, wasn't he?
Oh, he's incredible. He's one of those blokes. You talk about charisma, and he would just walk into the room and it would light up. And I don't think you can say that truly. It's thrown around a lot, but in his case, it was so true. And he had a big impact on my career because I think he took me under his wing a little bit. I think we were poles apart, and he looked at me, and I honestly think he looked at me and thought, why is this bloke like this when I'm so much like that? So, before games he'd grab me because he'd play on one wing and I'd play on another, and he'd say, and I'd be walking out to the wing, hang on, and he'd grab me and say, let's just wait and see what they're doing here, and then he'd have a quick chat, and then, you know, and I got on really well with Darren, and we were opposites. But you know, we sort of, I didn't necessarily go out with him, obviously, or anything like that. But yeah, I got on really well with him.
What about those epic battles on the wings, mate? Who did you look forward to in a sense of testing yourself against the best, the regular opponent?
There were a lot of good wingmen back then, and I didn't really play wing that often, to be honest. I only played a couple of years there, but in my early days, Dippy Domenico, Dougie Hawkins, Main Waring at times. You know, I'm disappointed. I would have loved to have played on Robbie Flower, but I didn't quite get that opportunity. But there were, I used to love those battles.
Your attack on the footy was ferocious, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I guess I prided myself on that. I think there was always two things I went out there with the back of my mind was and I always said to myself was hard work. So to work hard, to run hard, and to hit the ball hard. And a ground level contest, I really relished. I really enjoyed going really hard at that contest. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Were you ever fearful for your safety?
I was never. To be honest, I was never fearful in a ground level contest. It didn't worry me. In the air, yeah. I think it's more dangerous in the air. And there was times when I was in the air and I was fearful. Absolutely. I mean, that's the hardest thing.
So that change in the mentality about how we see our football and how we want it to be played.
Yeah.
Are you in accord with that? Do you think that?
Yeah, I like it. I like protecting the bloke going for the footy. I think it's important. I don't think we need unnecessary injuries, traumas to the head, the neck. I think, and I like the rule. It's a bit of a concern at the moment, I think, with the new rule about the contact with the head, because now I think it's actually creating more of it, because blokes are drawing free kicks.
Using the head.
And they're using their head, and I think that's a bit of a concern, whereas, you know, before that rule, you tried to protect yourself, so you actually didn't do it. So it's an interesting one. But I'm all for. I don't like the bump. I mean,
you don't like the bump?
I don't like. I like a good, strong, fair bump, but I'm not into coming off the line, lining blokes up. No, I'm not into that. I see, for me, two rams going at the ball is what it's about. Not one bloke going for the ball and the other bloke overstepping it and then cleaning him up. That's not.
Okay.
Courage.
When you played, was it bump or tackle? I know it's tackle these days, but was it? Did you?
Again, it probably would have been a bit of bump. Yeah. I guess because it was all about... The bump was big back then, you know, the Dermy Burtons, the Rossi Lyons, they were experts off two steps, Byron Pickett, as late as that. I remember Lee Matthews, I used to preach early days when I first started, never get intimidated by anyone, and I grabbed hold of that. I really grabbed hold of that, and there's only one time I reckon I was ever, not weary, but I thought twice, was when I played on Gary Ablett, and he looked at me and said, and I probably did grab hold of him a little bit because, you know, you couldn't stop him any other way. And he said, don't hang on, Brownie. And I probably, to be honest, that was probably the only time I ever thought, I'll you know, I'm not going to be as hanging on him.
So post-football, on the field, you seem to be that you want to be in the coaching role, be it senior coach or an assistant coach. You've been at Carlton and you're now at North as a development coach.
Yep.
You got aspirations to have a senior job somewhere?
No, I haven't, Mike. You know, maybe early days I might have thought about it, but it's, you know, I really enjoy my role now. It's what I think I do best. I like to see myself as a bit of a mentor for the young boys, and it's not necessarily the hurly-burly pulling apart opposition teams and all. That's not my strength. I think my strength is, I'm a pretty level bloke. I'm honest. Form good relationships, and I think I've got, you know, I think I'll get on well with the young blokes and try and teach them the way the game, you know, I think the game should be played. So, no, not coaching aspirations.
So what's your function on match day?
So match day now, well, I'm with the VFL boys when they play. So if there's a clash, I mean, my priority is to go and work with the young boys. So game day, I just sit in the box.
Do you have any input?
No, no real. I mean, we've got line coaches, opposition coaches, and Scotty obviously. So no input from that point of view.
Hey Gavin, when you left Carlton at the end of 2013, correct?
2000, yes.
Why did you change clubs?
Scotty rang me. In fact, Scotty had rang me even before that, 12 months, 18 months before that, about, you know, what are you doing with your footy? And because I'd worked with Scotty at Collingwood.
Yep.
Because I'd worked with Mick at Collingwood for 10 years too. So, and as I said to you before, senior coaching is not my go. my strengths lie in other areas. And he said, look, I've got a really good role for you down here. It's, we really value it, and we find, it's something we going to invest heavily in, and it really appealed to me. And that's the sort of role that I wanted to do. So it was as simple as that, really. I mean, I really enjoyed my time at Carlton. I did. I was with Rats for 2 years. The day after the Mad Monday, I was at, as with the staff you go to, and after the 2010 premiership, and I'd been involved because I was coaching the VFL side, and he said, what are you doing, next year? And I'd never even contemplated. I'd been at Collingwood for 25 years as a player and in the coaching role, and I said, no, mate, I'm pretty happy doing with what I'm doing. He said, let's just have a coffee, and I did, and I thought, you know what, if I'm ever going to leave Collingwood and see something else and step out of my comfort zone, then now's the time. So I did, and I loved it. And then it was as simple as Scotty, and because I wasn't at Collingwood, it was a much easier decision to leave Carlton. As much as I really enjoyed my time there, as I said.
254 games at Collingwood, good number, big contribution. It finished on a not sour note, but I mean, the last 2 or 3 years, there weren't many wins, were there?
No. In some ways I look at it as a good experience. I won a premiership there and also won a wooden spoon, if you can say won a wooden spoon, So that was really disappointing.
Good memories there, mate?
Yeah, no, they were fantastic memories. And to finish with Gav was, who I'd played under 19s with was terrific.
It's interesting that the big boys have got to carry you, Rocker and Tarrant.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that... Look, I've got a great relationship with Anthony. I had a great relationship with his brother, and I think he probably... I'm glad that he was one of the guys that carried me off, to be honest, yeah.
Your favourite moment, is it premiership? Everyone says it's a flag, but given your foggy memories of it, there might be another one in there.
No, the premiership's like the ultimate. I mean... It is the ultimate. I mean, I think I've always looked at it like everything at the end of the year is a bonus. I mean, I think you have goals as individuals, and it is very much, if you have high expectations on yourself, and I never thought about being, in the top 10 in the best and fairest. I always thought about just winning, But I didn't think about that during the year. My goals were at the start of the year, to have a really good pre-season, to work really hard, and then fantastic to play state footy if you can win a best. But they're when you look back on at the end of the year. But obviously, it's all geared to winning a premiership, and that's. Everyone says that, but if you're fair income, then that's what it's about.
I think you were just such a great competitor.
Yeah.
Massive hero for the Collingwood fraternity, and all of us who love footy love watching you play. And I think when you got the opportunity on the big stage on state games, and how proud you were to play for Victoria and how well you did, you're entitled to be very proud of your career, mate. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
This has been a Fox Footy production, part of the Fox Sports Network.